you. All right, let's bring in now political strategist Mehek Cooke. Mehek, thank you so much for your time here. History is being made yet again. How significant is this appearance by a sitting president?
Look, I think we're going to say it's unprecedented, but at the same time, I don't think this helps President Biden. And make no mistake, this UAW strike is a direct result of Biden's pro-agenda policy through the Inflation Reduction Act. He has had these top-down mandates and subsidies on EVs that are affecting the future of the American auto industry. He's promoting unionization at all costs. And we're here today because Joe Biden has emboldened union bosses to force workers to picket lines with unreasonable demands on the other side. He's also then in D.C. pushing and promoting energy dominance on shaky grounds. And at the end of the day, it's such a loss for the economy and the American people. Those individuals that are picketing are being used. This is political theater, Nichole.
Well, Mehek, I want to talk to you a little bit more about the EV aspect of all of this. As we take a live look there, we see President Biden standing there, in solidarity with these UAW union workers. But we know, Mehek, a president is supposed to be about balance. So can he maintain a semblance, of a middle ground when he is there, on the picket line, literally shoulder to shoulder with these striking workers?
There is no middle ground here. He is trying to play both sides, and the American people should not be played by this. He is standing there and advocating for higher wages and benefits for unions. And by the way, these union workers should be worried. These EV mandates that have been pushed through the Biden administration will eventually deplete the American economy, jobs in the auto manufacturing industry. We know that EVs take less employees that are essential to operate and get these EVs loaded up. So I don't understand why he thinks this is going to help anybody. If anything, I think he's doing this specifically because former President Trump is coming and trying to aid these individuals that are being played by both sides as pawns. But I think this is a despicable move from the White House. If they truly wanted to find a balance, they would not push EV policy that is so aggressive that is going to force these jobs back to China.
Well, and the president there said in his remarks, the auto industry has done well. The workers should be doing well too. I don't think there's a lot of people that would argue with that, the workers should be compensated. But how much of this do you think is about a photo op, is about the fact that, his biggest GOP rival, former President Trump, again, will be in this same spot tomorrow?
There is no doubt that these workers should be compensated. There's no doubt that there needs to be negotiations. As an attorney who's worked for government on union contracts, I can tell you it's the single most important thing to continue to drive our economy. But this is a political stunt by Joe Biden because he knows that former President Trump has the support of the unions. He has constantly showed up for the American people. He's constantly driven the economy, jobs, and upheld every promise he has made to Americans. So Joe Biden showing up is really confusing and political theater, and American people should not fall for this.
And my last question for you, Mehek, before we let you go here, we do know that a big part of the workers' grievances, or at least a part, does include concerns about this broader transition to electric vehicles that, the Biden administration certainly has pushed. Is the president really kind of potentially painting himself into a corner at this point?
He is. You cannot force for unionization, top-down mandates, promoting EVs and a green energy United States of America and still think that we're going to be able to keep manufacturing jobs here. It's just 101 basics. Most of our companies here cannot afford the wages and the push from the administration. If anything, we have to look to the future today, Nichole. I am praying that we have a strong GOP candidate that can come in and reverse some of these policies so that the American workers have a right not only to work, but an opportunity to be a part of the workforce. And then if individuals in America want EVs, let that happen. But that's going to naturally occur. And honestly, it's going to occur outside the United States because right now we cannot afford the dollar amounts that the unions are pushing for. So this is going to be a very interesting discussion in the upcoming presidential debate. We need to discuss how we get unions back on track, workers back to work, and also deal with China. But forcing top-down mandates is not the way to success.
Mehek, don't go anywhere. I want to ask you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.